Okay, so here's the thing, and I need you to tell me if I was completely out of line for what I did. I cancelled my own birthday party, like an hour before it was supposed to start. Not just any birthday party, but my 30th. A huge milestone that my fiancé, Mark, had been planning for months. Why? Because an anonymous video landed in my inbox, confirming my absolute worst suspicion about him. I mean, would you have still celebrated knowing what I knew? Tell me, seriously, would you have even been able to pretend? Let me take you back a bit to understand just how monumental this party was and how utterly devastating that video became. Mark and I had been together for 5 years, engaged for 1. We were, by all accounts, the perfect couple. He was charming, attentive, successful, and always made me feel like the most beautiful woman in the room. Or so I thought. We lived in a beautiful house we'd bought together, our lives intertwined in every conceivable way. Our wedding was set for next year, and honestly, I was living what I thought was a fairy tale. My 30th birthday was approaching, and Mark, being the grand gesture type, insisted on throwing me a huge surprise party. He started planning months in advance, dropping hints, disappearing for mysterious errands, and whispering on the phone. I pretended not to notice, playing along with the charade, because honestly, I love that he put so much effort into making me feel special. My friends, my family, everyone was invited. We're talking about 50 people, catered food, a DJ, an open bar. It was going to be the party of the decade, or at least my decade. I had picked out a stunning emerald green dress, spent a fortune on hair and makeup appointments, and I was genuinely excited. I loved the idea of celebrating this milestone, surrounded by everyone I loved, with the man I loved by my side. However, beneath the surface of this seemingly perfect life, a tiny, insidious seed of doubt had been planted a few months prior. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. Mark began working longer hours, which on its own wouldn't have been unusual. He was ambitious, and I admired that. But then came the late-night texts he'd quickly hide, the hurried phone calls he'd take in another room, and a general air of distraction. When I asked about it, he'd brush it off, citing stress at work or new clients. I tried to believe him. I really did. I didn't want to be that girlfriend, the one who was constantly suspicious and insecure. But the little things started to pile up. One evening, I noticed a strange perfume on his shirt. Not his usual cologne, and definitely not mine. When I asked, he mumbled something about being hugged by a client's overly enthusiastic assistant. I felt a prickle of unease, but I swallowed it down. My best friend Sarah had started to notice it too. She'd say, "Are you sure everything's okay with Mark? He seems a bit off." I'd defend him, of course, telling her she was imagining things, that we were perfectly happy. But deep down, her words echoed the growing anxieties in my own mind. I even started having vivid, disturbing dreams. Nightmares where Mark was with another woman, laughing, holding her hand. I'd wake up in a cold sweat, my heart pounding, trying to shake off the feeling of dread. I told myself it was just pre-wedding jitters, the stress of turning 30, anything to explain away the gnawing feeling in my gut. Then, about 2 weeks before the party, a particularly unsettling incident occurred. I found a receipt for an expensive piece of jewelry, a diamond pendant, hidden in his jacket pocket. It wasn't my birthday gift. I knew he was getting me a watch. When I confronted him, he stammered, his face reddening, and eventually confessed it was a business gift for a difficult client. He promised he'd show me the thank you note from the client as proof. He never did. The excuse felt thin, flimsy, and frankly insulting. But again, I wanted to believe him. I wanted my perfect life, my perfect fiancé. I pushed the thoughts away, desperate to maintain the illusion. I convinced myself that I was being paranoid, that I was projecting my own insecurities onto our otherwise solid relationship. I threw myself into planning the last-minute details for the party, hoping the excitement would drown out the quiet whispers of doubt. My dress arrived, looking even more stunning than I remembered. I got my nails done, picked out the perfect shoes. Everything was meticulously planned, down to the playlist for the DJ. It was going to be a night where I could finally just relax and celebrate. Push all the worries aside. The day of the party arrived. A beautiful Saturday morning. The caterers were setting up, the florist was arranging bouquets, and the DJ was sound checking. My house was bustling with activity, filled with the aroma of delicious food and fresh flowers. I was in a whirlwind of excitement and nervous anticipation. I had my hair and makeup appointment scheduled for 3 p.m. The party was at 6 p.m. Everything was running smoothly. I felt a flutter of pure joy, thinking about all my loved ones gathered, raising a toast to my 30th year. It was around 2 p.m. when my phone buzzed with an email notification from an unknown sender. The subject line simply read, "Your fiancé." My heart lurched. I almost didn't open it. A part of me, a very deep, self-preservatory part, wanted to delete it unread, to cling to my blissful ignorance. But another part, the part that had been slowly suffocating under the weight of suspicion, compelled me to click, and that's when my entire world shattered. The email contained a single attachment, a video file. I hesitated for a moment, my thumb hovering over the play button, my breath caught in my throat. What if it was nothing? What if it was a prank? What if it was just another weird scam email? But the subject line, "Your fiancé," felt too specific, too personal. It felt like a direct hit. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my trembling hand, and pressed play. The video was short, only about 45 seconds long. It was shaky, clearly filmed covertly, probably from a distance, or through a window. But the clarity was enough. It showed Mark, my Mark. He was at a restaurant I recognized, a fancy place downtown we'd been to for our anniversary. He wasn't alone. He was sitting across from a woman, her back to the camera. But I could still see her hand on his arm, her head tilted intimately towards him. And then he leaned in and he kissed her. Not a quick peck on the cheek, but a long, lingering, undeniably romantic kiss. A kiss that belonged to me. My blood ran cold. The air in the room seemed to evaporate. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me, so intense I thought I might actually throw up. It wasn't just a kiss. It was the way they were looking at each other, the way his hand was caressing hers on the table. It was the intimate smiles, the shared laughter. This wasn't a business dinner. This was a date, a real, undeniable, gut-wrenching date. The date receipt from 2 weeks ago, the strange perfume, the late nights, the hidden texts. It all slammed into me with the force of a tidal wave. All my doubts, all my suppressed fears, all the times I'd convinced myself I was being crazy, were suddenly, horrifyingly validated. It was all true. My fiancé, the man I was about to marry, the man who was throwing me a lavish birthday party in a few hours, was cheating on me. And not just a one-off mistake. This looked like an ongoing, serious affair. The video was dated just 3 days prior. 3 days ago, he was planning my party, telling me how much he loved me. And then he was out with her, sharing intimate moments. The hypocrisy, the betrayal, it was suffocating. I replayed the video. And then again. Each time, the image burned itself deeper into my mind, a cruel loop of my shattered reality. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Here I was, hours away from celebrating my 30th birthday, a party Mark had supposedly, meticulously planned out of love, while knowing he was betraying me behind my back. My house was filled with caterers and decorators. My best friends were on their way over to help me get ready, and my entire family was going to be here soon. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have gone through with the party, pretended everything was fine, and confronted him later? Or would you have exploded right there and then? I stared at my phone, the video still playing on a loop, the image of Mark kissing her searing into my brain, the sounds of the party preparations, the clinking of glasses, the murmur of voices, faded into a distant hum. All I could hear was the blood rushing in my ears and the frantic pounding of my own heart. I felt a cold, hard resolve settle over me. There was no way I was going to stand there, smiling, pretending to be happy, while my fiancé, my supposed soulmate, was a lying, cheating bastard. There was no way I was going to let him get away with it, even for a single moment more. This wasn't just about me. It was about every woman who has ever been lied to, betrayed, made to feel foolish. I picked up my phone, my fingers still trembling, and called Sarah. She answered immediately, her voice bubbling with excitement. "Hey, birthday girl. Everything going smoothly? I'm almost there. Got your favorite champagne ready." Her cheerfulness felt like a punch to the gut. "Sarah?" I choked out, my voice barely a whisper. "It's off. The party. It's cancelled." There was a stunned silence on the other end. "What? What are you talking about? Are you okay?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. I took a shaky breath and, in clipped, emotionless tones, told her about the video. I didn't cry. I felt numb, almost detached, as if I was telling someone else's story. Sarah was speechless for a moment. Then an explosion of expletives came from her. "That absolute bastard! Oh my God, my name. I'm so sorry. I'm coming over right now." While Sarah was on her way, I started making the calls. First, the caterers. I explained in a monotone voice that due to an unforeseen family emergency, the party was cancelled, and I would still pay for their services. Then the DJ, the florist. Each call felt like tearing a piece of my soul out. Each explanation was a lie, a cover-up for the devastating truth I couldn't yet articulate to everyone. Then came the calls to my family and friends. This was harder. My mom was confused, worried. "Is everything all right, sweetheart? Is Mark okay?" I just repeated the family emergency line, promising to explain later. The hardest part was Mark. He had left earlier to pick up some last-minute supplies and was supposed to be back any minute. I considered waiting for him, for a grand dramatic confrontation. But I couldn't. I couldn't bear to look at him, to pretend for even a second. My disgust was too overwhelming. So, I sent him a text. A short, brutal text. "Don't bother coming back. The party is cancelled. I know everything." I attached the video, and then I turned off my phone. I didn't want to hear his excuses, his lies, his pathetic attempts to explain it away. I just wanted him gone. When Sarah arrived, she found me sitting on the kitchen floor, surrounded by half-eaten catering samples and wilting flowers, the emerald green dress still hanging untouched in my closet. She didn't say a word, just wrapped me in a tight hug, and that's when the dam finally broke. I sobbed, a raw primal wail of grief and anger and utter heartbreak. I cried for the wasted years, for the shattered trust, for the beautiful future I thought I had, which was now just a pile of broken dreams. I cried for the naive girl who had believed in a fairy tale. The aftermath was messy, to say the least. Mark showed up, of course, frantically banging on the door, calling my name, texting me from every other available phone. Sarah, a fiercely protective warrior, intercepted him. I could hear their hushed, angry conversation through the closed door, her voice sharp and unforgiving, his pleading and desperate. He left eventually, defeated. The next few weeks were a blur of tears, anger, and legal paperwork. We had to disentangle our lives, our finances, our shared home. It was excruciating, like ripping off a Band-Aid made of concrete. The woman in the video, it turned out, was a junior partner at his firm. Their business meetings had been going on for months. He had even used our joint account to buy her gifts. The depth of the betrayal was staggering. My 30th birthday passed uncelebrated, a silent monument to the end of a chapter I never thought would close this way. It wasn't the party I had envisioned, but in a strange, painful way, it was exactly what I needed. It was the day I found out the truth. And though it hurt like hell, it also set me free. Looking back, canceling that party was the best decision I could have made. It wasn't about the cake or the decorations. It was about self-respect. It was about refusing to celebrate a lie. It was about reclaiming my dignity in the face of such profound betrayal. It hurt, yes, more than anything I've ever experienced. But it also showed me how strong I truly am. I've started therapy. I'm leaning on my incredible friends and family. And I'm slowly, painstakingly rebuilding my life. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I know it won't involve someone who can lie so effortlessly. So, that's my story. A birthday party that never happened, and a betrayal that changed everything. I truly hope that no one else ever has to go through something like this. But if you do, know that your feelings are valid, and your strength will carry you through. Like this video, if you were on my side and think I did the right thing, subscribe for more stories like this. And please, share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. I'll see you all in the next